back
And
and do
relax.
and you just sit back and relax. Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to Mindset Monday. I'm Shelley Butler.
I'm Yves Doucet.
Yes, I'm home today,
I'm not.
and Eve is not. No, Eve is braver than me than driving on the roads.
Yeah, but I was born in this.
So was I. So was I. And I have to admit, it's really not snowing hardly at all. And Eve is right. We were just talking about snow day. I am 58 years old and still wanting to take a snow day. So that's what this is for me today. I did not leave the house. I looked out at my car and went, do I really want to, you know,
Well, you
take the
remember when
snow?
you were a kid how snow day was like kind of something special?
It was so special. It's so interesting too because my daughter is all about the snow days, right? All
Of
about the
course, she's
snow
a
days. So
teacher.
most definitely, well, even when she was a student, right? So
Uh,
she had Grondin, Mr. Grondin, right? Who actually made up a little song, a little skit, things to do to make sure that they had a snow day, putting silly things in the freezer and flushing things down the toilet. You know what I mean? There was all these little, now we didn't have that. Our
what
teachers didn't do that. Swear
was
to God. So it was like,
was it?
if you want to make sure it's a snow day, right? Mr. Grondin would say, we have to sing the song. We have to put the thing in the freezer. We have to do these little things now. And of course, some of the best days and some of the best memories I had in my lifetime is pulling out the super slider snow skates, right? Strapping those to our feet and getting to the first snow hill that we could. It was really all about the magic of the snow days. I had some friends that moved here from BC, and she could not believe the amount of snow days that we took. And she was going to make her children stay home and write an essay. And I thought, I
Snow
never
day.
really said much to her, about it until she was ready to move back. Unfortunately, because she would post these things online, and I would say, "Oh my God, the best memories I ever had was some of these snow days." I can't actually tell you a whole lot of memories that I had in my English class or in my math class. But meeting my friends on the snow hill or, getting together to do whatever, those were some of the best days. And those were a lot of my memories. Now, thinking of back in the day, I mean, do you know what a super slider snow skate is?
To me, of
Yeah.
course.
Remember those? So we would
Yeah,
strap this piece of plastic to our feet
yeah,
with whatever boots, right?
yeah.
I mean, it was treacherous. It was treacherous. But of course, we had lawn darts as well. But some of the things that we would do as children, I mean, would just not be allowed today, right? We were that generation that kind of poof, barely made it through, maybe. I don't know.
I'm thinking of the Americans trying to invade Canada. We have lawn darts and super sliders. Like that. Snow
Super
skate.
slider snow skates.
Super snow skate going down the
Super
hill.
slider.
Catch me if you can.
You're right. Oh my God. And of course, back in the day, we had like wool snowsuits, right? They were made of material. They weren't this. So you'd come home just a giant ball, full of balls all over you of snow, right? Because it would just cling to these wool suits that we had. So much fun.
There
So
was
much fun. Now, of course, what's happening is our friends,
our friend.
to
Yeah.
the south
Mhm.
uh, are getting it as well, right? So our US friends
Oh,
who are
they're getting a bit of snow. Even in Texas, they're getting a bit of snow.
a bit of
That
snow. So
that
my
should they should
girlfriend, she
go.
moved
Okay, yeah, they should go and do what? What's the first thing you should do if you have snow?
Snow
Snow
Angel.
angels. So Texans go out there and do snow angels,
Snow
right?
Angel, make a snowball, make a snowman, enjoy the snow. It's so interesting. We had a family move in behind us, and they're from Brazil. So they didn't really have any
Oh,
snow. So when Leonard and I first met them, it was prior to the snow. They've only been here a couple years now, but I think there's four children and a couple adults. And the very first big snowstorm we had, they didn't have any of the gear. They just put sweaters on top of sweaters, but I could see them all out in their backyard, touching it and rolling in it and playing in it and just being so excited to be in the snow. We have no idea, right? We have no idea how cool um hanging out in the snow is, how the seasons are. We just really kind of take it for granted that we're going to have these four seasons. And the snow for some, I've seen some amazing TikToks where people for the first time in their lives are getting to see snow. I mean, there is places that never have seen snow that are getting snow. Um, and I
So,
thought, as Canadians, I love how you went with that because that's what I was going to say. As Canadians, what would we say? What words of advice would we give to our friends in the South of how they could enjoy or how they could be part of
okay.
this snow fest?
What else would you do if, like, as a Canadian, if you had snow? So Snow Angel is number one. What's number two for you? What would be
Well,
number two?
snowman, snowball
Snowman?
fight.
Yeah, snowball
It's
fights.
building the fort. It's building the fort. It's so
So how do you
interesting.
make a snowball? So some people don't know how to make a snowball.
I'm not really sure what kind of snow you're getting. What I'm seeing is a really unpacky snow. It's kind of like a really
Fluffy.
fine snow. So they're not getting a good packed snow. So having a little bit of a squirt gun, a little bit of water added to that
Mhm.
will make that snowball lethal. But yeah,
Oh,
don't be throwing those type of snowballs at each other. But I watched, I think they were from Oklahoma, and they decided that they were going to build a fort.
build
Now,
a
of
fort.
course,
Yeah.
yeah, so they built they built the round of the fort with material, and then they went and got a bunch of blankets and put them
Mm.
in water and laid them all
Ah,
over this
nice.
this round fort, right? So the snow would actually stick to it, kind of thing. So we don't think about that as adults, or as Canadians rather, about, for the first time in their lives, they're going to go build a snow fort, and that this is something that is um something like a first time kind of thing. So us, I mean, we had elaborate forts, like
Yes.
elaborate
Yeah,
forts. Like my
yes. Yeah.
daughter,
Yeah.
yeah, my daughter had one with a light in it, like a trouble light that would get plugged into the garage. I mean, it was lit, and she would go read out there. She'd go hang out there
That's
because,
so
of course,
Nikki.
it's so Nicky, right? You're so sheltered from the
Mm.
wind when you're in one of these forts. But how many fort walls, Eve, did we
No,
make, right? To have these
all the
snowball
time.
fights. I
All the
mean, we
time.
would pride ourselves on our fortress, our snowball fortress, and how big that we could actually make this thing. Another thing is if it's cold enough, and it appears like you guys are getting a lot of ice, right? So it's mixed with a lot of wet. And I would say get yourself a pair of skates.
Yeah, go
Go
try it
out
out.
on,
Mm.
yeah, go out on that there's some flat place where people are playing soccer or something that is now going to be just as slick as ice, and you get a chance to go on an ungroomed ice surface,
Okay,
you
so this
know.
is what we used to do, right? Because if you don't have skates, maybe you can't go buy skates. I don't think any store in Texas is selling any skates, by the way. So what you
Oh,
could
maybe
do,
not. Well, there's indoor rinks there. I think there is.
well,
You can
it's
probably
like,
rent you can
okay,
probably rent
so
them.
we used to play something called broom ball. So broom ball is
Mm,
it's played with brutes and a broom and a ball, right? Or
yeah.
you can play with a stick, like a
Yeah.
broomstick and a ball. So go outside, take a broom, and go play broom ball. I know it sounds silly, but it's fun. You're on the ice, you're slipping, like pick a couple of teams, get some friends out there. It's a
Yeah.
blast. Yeah. And you don't need anything more than a broom and a ball. Now, it became a big sport, and you have to get special shoes and special broom and a special ball. But the essence of it was just take a broom, take a ball, and go hit it around a flat surface that's got ice. Yeah. And so
Yeah.
that's the other thing we used to do. We used to play ice hockey, like boot hockey, which is
Yeah.
basically a hockey stick, whatever you want to shoot. like a puck. If you don't have a puck, like whatever you want, like a piece of dirt.
We used to do that as Dovaconians in Luke's backyard.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Right?
Mm,
So as adults we we used to do that. So there is a way to not make this so daunting and to have a really good time. As Canadians, we understand that dressing in layers, right? So you're gonna put on all your clothes, but as you're playing these things, you're gonna
mm.
get hot
You're
and you're
gonna
gonna
get
start
hot.
removing those
The
layers,
layers.
right, Eve?
Mm.
Yeah, you have to dress in layers. You got to make sure you have a toque, right? Really super important. You have a toque.
Toque is important.
Which, yeah, and for you folks in our friends to the south, that's a wool hat.
They know
A
what a
toque
toque is.
is a wool hat.
They're not stupid.
It's actually, yeah. So, well,
What?
no, of
Oh, maybe
course they're
because
not.
we're saying it's a toque. Yeah, okay, got
It's
it.
a toque. Yeah, not everybody understands that a
That
wool
word.
hat is a
That word.
toque. I can remember going out west, and somebody had said to me, west of Canada, and somebody had said to me, Shelley, don't forget your runners,
What's a runner?
right? I'm like, what?
Oh, you
That's what they
mean
call sneakers.
sneakers. Oh, okay,
Yeah,
runners.
that's what they call
Oh,
sneakers. So yeah, we
hmm.
have different vocabulary all over the place, and a lot of our snow words
Mm.
might not necessarily be known, to our friends of the South. So yeah, there's lots going on in this winter wonderland, and so I guess we're just sharing some space with our friends to the South. I keep saying that, but.
Well, maybe
Uh,
with our friends listening too. What was your favorite thing to do in the snow? For me, when I was young, for sure, it was building forts and snowball fights, and the big thing for me was going out there and playing ice hockey with our boots, right? So there was always a patch of ice somewhere we could find.
oh,
We would
yeah,
shovel that out, and then
yeah,
we'd pick some friends, and we'd meet some new friends, and we'd just play hockey, right? Ice hockey with boots, and
absolutely.
sometimes if there was enough ice, we'd bring our skates. Yeah,
Oh,
and
for sure, for sure. How many times did I walk down the road because we used to have a pond up the road from us, and I'd have skate guards. I'd literally put my
mm,
skates on at the house. I'd walk
yes, you walk
up the
with
road
skate
with my
guards. Yeah.
skate guards, right? So it was yeah, we were like when I think about it, we were pretty stoic, right? We went out in the morning and we came
Mm.
back when the street lights came on. That is not a myth or a legend. That's kind of how we did things. But what I was actually going to say is our friends to the south are going through a lot. There's a
Yes, they
lot of
are.
division,
Yeah.
that I saw, especially this weekend. It's all really coming to a forefront. We do 80% of our business is done in the United States of America. And we love our friends to the
Of
south, and
course we do.
yeah,
Mm.
we have some concerns. We definitely have some concerns, and we are sending our love to you. I just wanted to make sure that you hear us, that we're here for you.
It reminds me a little bit about like when you have a dispute with two friends that are getting separated, for example, and you're
Yeah,
friends with both, right?
yeah.
And and we get stuck in our truth, in our knowing. So we're going to talk
Mm,
about that, right? So what happens when you get stuck in your knowing and your truth? And you've had, like Shelley, you've had experiences with employees or coworkers or even
yes.
friends, right? That have been stuck in the knowing. And the thing about when you're stuck in the knowing, it doesn't become conductive to a community. If you're stuck in, you have all the answers, it doesn't build community. That's the answer
No,
to all of it, right? So,
that
so,
is the
you know,
answer.
I,
Yeah.
I was talking to someone the other day, and he's saying, they're wrong and I'm right. I said, well, you're stuck in your knowing. And he was talking about his son actually. Like his son
Yeah.
is on one side of the fence, right?
Yep.
And he's on the other side of the fence. That I said, well, do you talk about it with your son? He says, no, we don't talk about that. We don't talk about that. I said, well, that's that. You're missing a valuable kind of piece of information, and there's always something to ground on that you have in common. There's always something that you have in common with the other, because we're all human beings. And at the end of the day, we have a belief because we have, keep in mind that 50% of what you believe is delusion. It's not real. You don't see reality. You only see, and this is science, right? You only see 50%. And so when you're in business and you're as a leader, you only see 50%. You only hear 50% of the truth. The rest, you've made it up. You've made it up in your meaning and significance in your head. It's not really true. So our quest here at Doeco is always to be open to the truth, to reality, without giving it meaning and significance. How many times have you said, "Oops, maybe I'm making that up. Maybe I'm
Every
making that
day,
up," right? So what is the
every day.
one thing that you do when you see yourself making something up? What is it that you do? Because you've had
I
that.
um,
What do you do? Oh,
I
I'm curious.
immediately document.
You start what? You start. What do you mean
I
document? Like
I
you.
immediately document because, of course, I am right. I am so sure I'm right. I'm so sure that that conversation went that way. So what I do, because I journal ridiculously. So anytime I'm in conflict with myself or I feel myself in reaction, I immediately go pen to paper. I
Hmm.
don't write it in my phone. I immediately go pen to paper. And I don't know why I do that actually. I did try it both ways, but for me, pen to paper is a little more meaningful. And I actually will write out the play, write out what's happening in my head. I call it the play. So I said blah, she said blah. Then I said this, and then I said, so what actually happens to me, because I'm so sure in my mind, I'm so sure that I am right in my mind and I'm in conflict. So what I do is, as I'm going through it, what I realize really quickly, and it almost happens every time within the very first few sentences, I said this, and then she said this, and then I said this, and then she said, I stop. I stop because I actually can't bring it to paper. I can't actually remember. See, the thing is our brain has the whole story. Our perception is our truth. So the brain has the entire story. But I will challenge you, if you try to take that story and put it to paper, all of a sudden, all of a sudden, your brain and your hand that you're writing with has a massive disconnect because you start to go, it was it that? Did she actually use those words? Did I? So then that's actually what
So do you
happens.
know why? From a science
Yes,
point of view?
yeah, I
Yeah.
do.
So what happens when you start writing instead of thinking? Because you cannot solve the problem in your head with a thought. All you'll do in your head, you'll come back to I'm right, you're wrong. The thinking is not the issue. You have to do a doing. And the doing is when you physically take your piece of paper, your pen and your piece of paper and you write it, you have a physical, tactical touch. It brings you back to reality. So remember, 50% is right and 50% is your head. If you stay in your head, you're staying in the 50% that's delusional. You have
Well,
to
that
get out.
50% will grow. If you stay
It's
that
go
in your head, that 50% will grow.
grow. Yeah,
It'll actually, that story will continue to grow.
to
So
grow.
if you do not get a handle of the story, right? If you do not get a handle of the
It's
play,
gonna
if you
grow.
will,
It's gonna
it
grow.
will grow. And the perception is your truth. How many
Okay.
times have you gone to a friend and said, so you finally kind of get there and you say, man, Eve, like, why did you say that?
Yeah.
And Eve says, I didn't say that. And I say,
I had
yes,
that
you
conversation.
did.
I had that conversation yesterday. Oh my God. Oh,
How many times? So our perception is our truth. And the thing is nine times out of 10, maybe even more than that, when you actually say, man, why did you say that to me? Or why did you say, I heard you say that? And people be like, I didn't say, I didn't say that. We start to make it up and it is our truth. And I'm going to tell you, this is science. People do not, that's why they don't actually take witness statements,
mm.
for instance, right? And you've seen this. I think you've all seen this. You can go online and they'll say it was the guy in the yellow shirt. And there's video recording of it all. These
No yellow
people will come
shirt.
in one after the other. Yeah, it was the guy in the yellow shirt. I think it was kind of sort of orange. And in actuality, the guy's got a green shirt on, right? So everybody was wrong. Everybody was wrong. Did you notice that? But we tell ourselves, I was so sure that was the guy in the yellow shirt.
So,
No, there was,
so
you
okay,
know,
this is quite interesting. So the first thing you do is you write it down. So
yeah,
you get back to reality by writing it. Then you see it. That's
yes,
reality too. Now,
yes.
what's the difference between that and going to gossip with your friends? So what happens when you say you find people that share your truth? What is it? What
So
happens?
that is that herd mentality, right? So when we start spreading our energy, we pick up the phone and did you hear what so and so said? I can't believe what so and so said. And then so and so says, "Oh my God, did you? I cannot believe. Yeah, I saw and so now our energy becomes highlighted in
Yeah.
this negativity and this blame shame, right? And that can go on. That will continue and continue as the phone calls happen, as we see eye to eye, as we make this person bad.
Yeah.
This
So
is what,
so you
yeah,
start to amplify your story, right?
that's
With the
right.
people. So social media is there to feed your delusional mind.
It
So you
is.
think so when you think about that, like what you see, right? You wait longer in the things that you feed your thinking with, and
Yeah,
you skip over the things that you disagree with. So what happens is the algorithm say, oh, you want to see more of that? Okay, so you see more of that, and you become delusional in your mind.
yeah,
Right?
yeah,
So you're not doing anything there. You're thinking. You're not writing it. You're not feeling it. You're not doing something. You're not going. You're staying in your same neuron pathway, their same believing, and you're digging deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. And pretty soon you can't get out of the hole. So what I
no,
would say to get out of the hole, to create new neuron pathway, the best way to do that is to create space, right? So I did a little
yeah,
video yesterday, and if you have trouble getting out of your head, getting out of like I can't see the truth here, all I can see is my thoughts. Do a wall sit for 3 minutes. Do a
yeah,
wall sit for 3 minutes, then journal. What Shelley was saying. So now
yeah,
you're getting out of your head. You're getting rid of cortisol. You're getting rid of fear, and you go there and you start writing it down. Now you start to see your own thoughts, and from seeing your own thoughts, now you start to have a choice. But something's going to be even more beautiful if you stop after journaling and you close your eyes and you just focus on the space that you've created, right? And if you're sitting down and you for 3 or 5 minutes, and this is difficult stuff, okay? If you sit, whatever it is, sitting down, back erect, feet on the ground, and you do not move for 3 to 5 minutes, something's going to happen. Because at that point in time, you're not letting your body become your mind. Keep in mind that you have stored your emotions, your history, your delusional way to see the world in your body. And when the body or the soul tells the body, don't move, right? Don't move, don't move. And the body is saying, I want to move. You've become the body. You take over the instrument that basically guides your life and something changes. And this is so important for us because this is what we do at Dovico. We want to get out of our heads because if you lead a team, and this is what show up is about, when you lead a team and the leader is so sure, like we had a meeting. Oh, can I tell you about this? You weren't there yesterday, but on Wednesday. But can I tell you about this? We had an RRSP meeting with our team. It was beautiful, right? So we have a pension plan, retirement plan with our team that they give 2%. They put 2%. We put 2% in, and it's like not self administered, but it's individual pension. So each individual employee has the ownership of their plan. But we
yeah,
pool it together, and one of our local banks, the RBC Bank, it has a nice product. A little kudos for them that allows companies like our small companies to basically get a group plan together. We have a bit of there's a bit of and I don't know the details of it, but there's a bit of incentive for group plans, so we get a little better deals on certain things because we're a group. So there we are. Sorry, something happened that was funny. But anyway, so here we are as a group, and we're having this discussion and using show up. Okay. So ShowUp is a tool that we've built at Dovaco, which allows all the members, the leaders, and the participants to post anonymously. Okay. To post anonymously. And so one participant says, "Hey, is there any requirement that Dovaco has to sign off on getting out of the plan?" And our two plan members, well, one of them, right, says no. There's no requirements. It's entirely up to you. You can take out the money if you want to buy a four-wheel drive. If you want to buy a house, doesn't matter. You can just do it. And then one of the plan members said, "Well, that's not true." And the RBC guy said, "That's not true. Dovaco needs to have permission." Now, I didn't know that, right? I didn't know that the individuals, right, needed an approval from us to get their own money out of the plant. I didn't know that. Now they've put the RBC's put that in there, and the government's put that in there for a variety of reasons. But the point is, that I was going in my truth, saying, no, 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 there's no requirement. But as soon as one employee tried to get some of it out, I don't know why what they are trying to buy, and I'm not making allusions to it, but there was a requirement. And this is a good example is if I don't know the truth as a leader, I can't act, right? If I am thinking, no, no, there's no requirement, but it's false, I can't make a decision. But the team who was anonymous, right, had enough courage because it was anonymous to say, hey, I'm having a bit of trouble here getting my money out. Like, think about that for a second. Like, that person, for a variety of reasons, could be wanting to take over the money because they need money for something they don't want to tell me. Like, right? But I did know. So I can't make a decision, right?
Yep.
And so what happens when we're in our delusional minds, when you don't journal, when you don't sit down in emptiness, in tranquility, you don't take space to rethink, right? When you're constantly in your doing, you're stuck in your delusional mind. As a leader, as a partner, as a friend, you're stuck in your delusional mind. And unfortunately, we are not taught this in school. We're not taught to journal. We're not taught to take a second, to take a breath. We're not taught to express what we believe is true and to see that we're not true, right? And we need to start teaching that because look at the division it's creating all over the world. Like, I'm right, you're wrong. I believe this, you believe that. I was having a discussion with a young girl from Iran, right? And I was trying to ground on something that it could be common. So I asked her, like, do you have like, do you have the same days of the month? Do you have same month? She goes, yeah, we have January and February. Okay, cool. But our January is not 31 days, it's 30. I said, well, that's odd. Why would you do that? And I said, don't stop. I said, do you have like Mondays and Mondays, Tuesday, what? Yeah, we have Monday. I said, perfect. At least we have that in common. There's always something. There's always something that we have in common with the other person because we're all human beings. It could be a feeling, it could be a guilt, it could be a fear, right? So we
Yep.
have to ground not on our beliefs, trying to find the herd. We have to ground on our similarities, right?
Yeah,
And
most definitely. Why are we trying to create that divisiveness of I'm different than you? Of course we're different. Every human being is different, right? But I love that, Eve. What if we really try to find our similarities? I love that you were talking about a calendar, because the one thing that we always say about a calendar, we track time. So the one thing we always say about a calendar, whenever you start with a calendar view, you never have to have a help file. Everybody
right,
always understands how to
a calendar.
use a
Mhm.
calendar. And it's interesting that you say that because Felicia gives me a calendar every year of all the pictures of Pearl throughout the months,
Oh,
right? I absolutely love it. This year, I was like, I'm getting my calendar, right? And she's like, yeah, yeah, I just don't have time I didn't have time to make one. Anyways, I got my calendar and she starts her day on a Monday. She starts her calendars on a Monday, not a Sunday.
she's odd.
Well, in actuality, when Leonard and I went to Switzerland, that's how they did it there. The day started on a Monday, not a Sunday. But when you're looking at a glance at a calendar, right? and our perception is our truth that it should start on a Sunday.
That's
It's
interesting.
interest it is interesting, right? Our day starts on a Monday. She's absolutely right.
Hmm.
For her, Sunday is rest day. It's how Switzerland does it as well. So, but we sometimes believe that our way is the only way.
So I have a questions for those watching. I have a just say hi to Joanne Cormier and Trent, Cheryl, your sister is watching. Barbara, hi Barbara.
Awesome.
She's part of our yoga team. Rachel McDonald, Lori, another one of your friends, and my friend, my sister Diane. Hi Diane. Angela McLeod. Yeah. So the question I would have for you guys is, oh, hugs too. I like that.
Hugs. We're all about the hugs.
Oh, Barbara says our smile and laughter are common. That's true. It is true. So, my question to you guys out there would be, how do you get out of your head? Like I've talked about a couple of things Shelley and I do. We're big journaling people. We've learned that with Robin Sharma. We're big meditation people. We've learned that with Baron Baptiste and Joe Dispenza. We're big on asking questions, right? We've learned
Yep.
that with people like Robin Sharma and Baron Baptiste, asking more questions, being more present. I'm wondering what you guys do. I talked about the chair pose. I'm famous for my chair pose. Everywhere I go, I put fear in people's head. I met another girl last night at the gym. She says, "Oh, my chair! I went to one of your class. Your chair pose is terrible." It's all I remember. I did a chair pose with you once. She says. But what do you do? Oh, okay. So we have a couple of things here. Leslie and is saying return to breath and go to the forest. Yeah, so Shelley does that a lot. Like I don't know about breathing, but I know you go to the forest. Most of the time you're either in your bath or the forest when I call you. So talk about the forest. Why is that important for you, Shelley? Shelley, Shelley.
The forest is important to me. The forest started actually just walking my dog, right? Wanted to get off the street to get out of the salt. And I had no idea that the forest was going to give me that kind of energy. I didn't really even understand it, but I saw beauty everywhere I went. Of course, I'm dog walking, so I was just getting out for a walk. I wasn't really even thinking about the beauty that was around me. And I didn't understand actually the energy that I received when I'm in the forest. But I knew it was happening. I got to go to an event, and a fellow by the name of Dr. Greg Wells was there. And he started talking to us. So this was right after 2020. And he started talking to us about the disease that was happening with our children that couldn't go to school. And he was talking about his daughter and how his daughter was literally 11 years old and throwing F bombs around the house. She was angry that she couldn't go see her friends. She was upset that things were going the way that they were going in her, possibly her first year of junior high. All of this stuff was going on. And he thought, oh my gosh, like she's 11 and she's throwing F bombs. I got to get her out of the house before my wife kills her. So he went to the woods behind his house, and she grabbed a stick and he backed up. She grabbed a stick and she was beating things in the woods. And within 5 minutes, he showed her, he had this up on a big screen for us, and he showed her calming down. She started to walk through the woods. She started to hum to herself or sing a song. She immediately regulated herself. He wanted to know the science behind it because it's Dr. Greg Wells. And what happened was he started to show us pictures of the our body, our internal body. So for instance, our capillaries in our lungs, and then he showed us a tree branch, and they were almost the exact same things. We are unable to regulate ourselves in square walls. We live in square walls. If you do not get out and find yourself out in nature more often, you will find yourself in a space where you can't regulate your brain. You can't stay still. Like Eve said, you can't create space. Being out in nature has no true lines, no true square
It's
lines.
not
It's how
square.
our
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how our
Yeah.
brain actually works. And this was fundamental for me to understand why my energy shifted so quickly when I got in the woods. Years ago, my sister Cheryl, who's watching with us today, started walking with me in the woods, never believing really, because she had some challenges, but never really believing that she could do any length of walking in the woods. Her and I now do 5, 6K without any problem walking in the woods. To her delight, because she went through a lot, her husband passed from cancer and she took care of him for a lot of years. So to her delight, as I would call this forest bathing, she started to understand how important it was. She has now joined the Wow Women, the group here of ladies who go on hikes and biking, and they do horse snowshoeing and not horseshoeing. But they do all these type of things, and she has joined that, and she has understood that her mental health relies on her getting out into the forest. It
So there's
is
there's quite a bit of science on the forest and the
huge.
frequency of like living things and if you just notice when you go in the forest how your breathing changes. So that's one
Mm.
thing. The dog. Why do you think like there's someone else who said I walk my dog? So what's the like the science behind the forest is vibration. So we all vibrate. It's like living things vibrate. So what happens like there's thousands and thousands of years that we lived in the woods. So we connect at that vibration.
We connect
We connect.
exactly.
Right.
Not only do we look internally like the woods,
Mm.
but our the connection is pure. It's pure, right?
So if
It's
you
we're
if
not made to be in walls.
no, so if you look at your eyes and your ears and you're just feeling what's happening when you start to breathing starts to lower, but your eyes starts looking all and there's no squareness, there's no lines to it. Like you're just unfocused but totally focused. So that's what happens to our regulated system. It just calms down when you're in the woods. So why do
Yeah.
you think walking a dog, because you said you walked your dog and someone else said they walked a dog, and why do you think walking the dog is something that can you get you out of your thinking head.
I don't know. Like I say, I walked the dog because that's the only time I really walked. I didn't use walking for exercise back in the day.
But you
I
but
didn't.
but
I do now. I don't
you
have a
know
dog
as well as
anymore.
I do that a dog, right? Also, like your dog will follow your mood, right? It
Oh, your
changes your mood,
dog will always
right?
have a calming effect, right?
Right.
So, I'll tell you, when you lose your dog and you don't have that greeting, that 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 greeting that is just always so pure, you have to actually focus on your good mood. When you lose your dog, and Eve, you've lost an animal as well.
Mhm.
You know what that's like, right? Petrie would come every day, no matter how bad or good the day was. He would greet you the exact same way every day, and it would be lovely. All of a sudden, that bad day would be gone. You'd pick up that little dog, he'd snuggle in. It was an absolute pleasure to be around somebody, a thing that is always so happy to see you.
So
Imagine if we as humans always greeted that same way.
so when you're walking your dog, notice how the dog is changing their moods. So it changes with you when you're in the house, but you change with it when it's in the forest.
Oh,
It's again, it's about
absolutely.
vibration. Yeah. So that's a good one.
Absolutely.
Walk the
Yeah.
dog. Yeah.
Walk the dog.
One, Jen said, meditate in prayer at church during Eucharistic adoration
Mm.
or Mass is the best for her. So why would, like prayer or meditation get you out of your thinking mind? Why do you think that is?
Well, I think that anytime you're still,
Yeah.
yeah, anytime you're still and you're quieting yourself, I think that it will always take you out of your thinking mind, because what happens is you actually see your thinking mind. As soon as you try to create stillness with your brain, you go, oh my God, there's a lot of thoughts going on there. See, I don't think we realize as we're doing things around the house, or as we're, on this podcast, of how many things we're actually thinking about. what's next. So many of us are in our to-do list.
So many of us. So what happens to the brain when you pray or you meditate, you're actually focusing on something,
Yeah.
right? So you bring your focus out of your thinking mind and you focus on one thing. So prayer, meditation,
Yep.
focusing on one thing takes you out of your thinking mind. You say, I'm not going to think about that. I'm going to focus something. And so that's contrarian to your thinking. See, thinking is basically analyzing the future based on your past, right?
Yeah.
So if you're focusing on one thing, the prayer, the meditation, or the doing of something, what happens is you take control of the gears in your mind and you say, no, we're going to focus on something. You become you become the control. You become like
The
you
energy.
the energy. You become part of it and you become to see and you see your observe. And what's going to happen if you stay focused long enough, you're going to see that you're thinking that you know the truth. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So one more thing, and then we have to go.
Yes.
And then, so I love these comments. So I think someone said humming, and there's also one in the book, which is also, but we can't cover them all. There's too many of them. But so one person said, I think it's Barbara, said humming. Why would humming get you out of your mind?
Hmm. I don't
Mm.
know. Humming's
And
a
she,
trigger
and
for
she and
me.
she hums.
So, yeah, humming's a trigger for me, unfortunately. So I don't,
Why would singing or whistling or playing music get you out of your mind? Like you've done that, played music. Like I've seen you dance. When you put on a Grateful Dead song, or like you just like we were at a show. Remember we were at a show the other day?
yes,
You two of us like were some sort of award show, and there's a really good band. I forget their name, and they started playing some really good tunes,
Mustang Sally.
right? So
And
we're
people were sitting down. How do you sit through Mustang Sally, please?
yeah. So what
Eve's
happens?
like, Shelley, you want to dance? This is a formal event. Eve and I stood up in front of the formal event. So what's wrong with you people? Yeah.
Nothing. We're high on life. So what happens when music hits its vibration again, right? So when you're humming, right? There's lots of signs when you're humming, when you're singing, where you're dancing. Well, everything is vibration. Every single part. I actually did a little test recently. It's called a quantum magnetic resonant frequency test. And what it does is
Mm,
it basically goes into your body and everything has a vibrational frequency. It's called a resonant frequency. And we studied that in engineering school. Everything, like a bridge, has a resonant frequency.
yeah.
And every part of your body has a resonant frequency. Your gut has a resonant frequency, your heart, your brain, your DNA, it
Yeah.
all has resonant frequency. So you can actually, and when you're humming, you're making one part of your body, when you're singing, you're making that part of your body start to resonate. And you feel that as energy. You feel like you all of a sudden, you feel out of your body, out of your mind, because you're in the frequency, right?
Yeah.
You're in the mood. So you start dancing and then you don't think about anything. You're just dancing. You're out of your thinking head. That's why, because you're connecting at a frequency. And in the quantum world, you're either focused and doing one thing, you can't get out of your head, like projecting the past, your future from the past, called anxiety, projecting the past from the past right in the present moment, that's called depression, right? You're either in that mode or you're constantly in
Mhm.
the doing trying to catch up, which is ADHD, right?
Yeah.
Or you're resonating at a frequency. You're
Yeah.
resonating at a higher frequency, right? And so that's what humming does. That's what singing does. That's what dancing does. It
Music itself.
music,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
Yeah.
So those are ways to get out of your thinking head. So you can be a better leader, a better, a better. And my wife, she likes to clean. And when I get home, and I know she's in a good mood, when I can hear the beat from the door. So when she starts to clean, like to vacuum or whatever she's doing, it doesn't matter, even cooking, she'll put on the music so loud, I can hear it through the door. And I'm thinking, okay, she's really having a good time. I'm going to give her another hour, so I'll come back, right? And I know she's like vibrating at a different frequency. If I go there and I disrupt that, I'm not allowing her to get out of her head and to heal because frequency, bathing, walking your dog, humming, singing, dancing, right? Journaling, meditating, praying, all these things allow you to get out of your head, to allow you to get out of your delusional mind, right? And
Yeah.
get to reality, get
Yeah.
out of your body, and then you take control over your life.
Yeah.
And that's the secret to leading. It's the secret to a relationship. Get out of your head. And it's the secret
Yeah.
to getting out of conflict, like fortunately. And
It is.
we're
Wouldn't it be
not taught this.
wonderful? Go
Yeah.
ahead.
Well, we're
I
not
was going to
taught that.
say, no,
No.
we're not taught that. Wouldn't it be cool? I always think that if one of these wearables or Alexas or Google Plays would actually collect resonant frequency in our home, I
Hmm.
think that that would
Be
be
cool.
insane. That would be insane. I know myself, I can feel myself vibrating so low and getting a little on the frustrated side. My husband will see it happen, and then he'll go and shut off the overhead fan to the stove. And
Right.
it all goes away,
It goes away. It's something that's
right? I'm like,
because it's a
whew,
different that frequency like is like it's like it's a bothersome frequency. Like it
it's a
triggers you.
bothersome
Yeah.
frequency. So the thing is sometimes we don't know what's going on, but we can feel ourselves getting a little edgy, you
Yeah.
know? And I don't necessarily, I'm in the doing, right? I'm cooking. I've got the overhead fan on. He sees it. He'll come and shut it off. He'll do a little giggle to me. And I'm like, ah, that's what
But
it is.
but that's interesting. Like when you're building a new
Very.
home, and you just gave me a good idea. When we're building a cottage as well, and I don't pay attention to choosing my fan, but I will. I'm gonna go
Oh,
measure that frequency, make sure it
you
doesn't
measure
bother
that
me.
frequency, and
Yeah.
you can buy it at specific decibels. Leonard and I bought one
Really?
as well, and
Okay.
and we paid extra, to get the proper decibels, and it'll actually tell you what it's going to do. It's a little more expensive, but so worth it.
So yeah,
So
that's
worth it.
that's another way to get out of your head is like construct your environment as a
Yeah.
sanctuary, right? Yeah, as a sanctuary.
So remember, if you're starting to feel a little anxious and you're in a different space other than your home, or even if you're in your home, what is it that's bothering you? What is it that's running that's actually bothering you? You could, right? So there are places that understand what hurts that they're going to provide to you in that space, and that will suggest your mood, right? There's people that understand that that this is important. That's why our music is at a certain hertz. So dig into it. It's really, really
This is
interesting.
interesting because if you go to Las Vegas, they pump oxygen into the
Yeah,
room to get you going. But do we
yeah,
construct
of
our
course.
sanctuaries in order for us to get out of our thinking head? Do we actually build sanctuaries? No, we build a home, but we don't build a sanctuary. What does it look like and feel like and smell like and sound like to build a sanctuary? And these are
Yeah,
important questions, including the office building that you're in, right?
yeah,
And your office at home. It's
yeah.
important, right?
It's important. Your
Yeah.
space, when we say create space at Dovico, we mean a whole lot more than just
Yeah.
the what the color of the walls look like, what your desk looks like. For us, creating space is all about this frequency. If you have a fan running, right, and you're wondering why you're always so annoyed when you're in that particular room, check the frequency of your fan. And there's a way for us to do these things, right? We just tend not to be in the know that these energies and these frequencies are so highly addictive to us,
They are.
and they are. So as Eve and I are both building homes, we are absolutely making sure that whatever we have around us is going to create the best versions, help us create the best versions of ourselves. And I hope you guys
100%.
do the same. Yeah. Okay, this has been such a long podcast. I'm Shelley Butler.
I'm Yves Doucet.
And this is Mindset Monday. I can't wait to see you next Monday because it's going to be even better. But I loved this conversation today. Love you. Get your workout in. And how are you showing up?